What's up, everyone? The wildcard competition has been played and we have a winner, and it's safe to say that Frenchie's head of household reign is anything but smooth sailing. So we've got lots and lots to talk about, guys, and it's only day 3 of Big Brother 23, so welcome to your live feed update. Okay, right, so let's just discuss briefly, just before we get started on the updates, guys, Frenchie's head of household. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard how much of a car crash it is currently. Things are left, right and centre. I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts in the comment section below of, if you think Frenchie is actually going to make it much further after this week. Is he going to be able to salvage the damage he's done in his game? Or, who's he going to nominate? There's lots and lots to talk about, guys, but we'll get onto that in the updates. But let me know what your thoughts are on Frenchie's head of household reign so far. Now, for those of you who know, Frenchie has been hell-bent on creating an alliance called the Slaughterhouse, and to say he's hell-bent would be an understatement. He is going around to all sorts of different people in the house going, yes, we should create the Slaughterhouse. So, I mean, there's pretty much an alliance with nearly the whole house involved in a slaughterhouse at this point. Everybody thinking they are part of the slaughterhouse. It's crazy. It's giving me lots of vibes of Devon from BB23. The power has gone to Frenchie's head. I said on my Twitter last night that I think Frenchie has got a case of HOH-itis, and I stand by that. I think the power's gone to his head and he's thinking that creating all these alliances is going to just make him solid for the game. A bit like Cody did on week 1 of BB22. I just don't think it's going to work. It feels like Devon from BB16 altogether. So I would say it's not working very, very well. But anyway, he's talking to Whitney and saying they should create the slaughterhouse and, they should bring in Xavier and all this sort of stuff. And, then they went to speak to Xavier and said, we should bring in Derek F. So they're just putting loads and loads of different people in these different slaughterhouses. And on top of the slaughterhouse as well, Frenchie wants to create a core. Of course, there's a core involved because he probably thinks he's some strategic mastermind at this point, but it's going to come crashing and burn, and he's probably going to end up going pre-jury if he continues going this way. He wants to create a core called the Butchers. I mean, there's a lot of slaughter going on. Honestly, if Tyler and Angela were in this house, I don't think their vegan sort of ways would be very taken to, or maybe they would have to reject an invite to the slaughterhouse or the Butchers. But yeah, that's certainly going on with Frenchie. Not going very well in my opinion. I think he needs to take a step back, just slow it down, or otherwise his Big Brother life is going to be over sooner rather than later. Brittany and Frenchie briefly talked targets in the morning, and Frenchie said that his prime target is Brent, and this would quickly be shifted as moments later Brent and Frenchie would sit down to have a conversation, and Brent was sort of expressing he didn't want to come up on night 1 and sort of force a relationship between the two of them. He wanted to sort of let it sort of be natural and just something to form over time rather than just saying let's be best friends on night 1. And I get both sides of it. There's one side saying, okay, that's fair, because then it's probably a more raw and real relationship between the two. But the other side sort of saying it doesn't really show any enthusiasm. But it worked. And, Brent was sort of talking about this whole charm thing and, how he was going to use his charm before the game. And I was thinking, if I'm going to be totally honest, I thought it was going to be a bunch of BS, because, I mean, when somebody has to talk about the fact that they've got charm so much, I feel like they're compensating for the fact that they don't have charm. So that's sort of what I assumed with Brent. But charm, Frenchie, he did, and it worked, and Frenchie doesn't really look to be targeting Brent anymore, so props to Brent for that, because there's not many people who can just go bang and get the target off the back like that. Usually the head of household is going, okay, I'm fixated on this person, I want this person out, nothing's going to get in my way apart from the veto. And, Brent, lo and behold, went up to that head of household room and he took the target off his back. And I think, ladies and gentlemen, we can't do anything but give him a round of applause for that. So massive congratulations to Brent for doing that, because Frenchie is no longer targeting Brent. After the conversation with Brent, Frenchie seemed hell-bent on making sure that he would nominate one guy and one girl from the losing team, obviously, which was the Kings. So that would leave Alyssa, Sarah, Xavier, and Christian. Well done on remembering that, Tom, because it's difficult to remember the teams, guys. So, yeah, he was sort of hell-bent on doing that. But then we have the wildcard competition, in which somebody can win immunity, and somebody did. Christian has won the wildcard competition and immunity for himself, and he was allowed to save somebody else, very much like the safety suite from last year. He saved Xavier, so that is Frenchie's plan out the window there, putting a guy up from that side. So I would likely say Alyssa or Sarah will be one of the nominees this week, it's safe to say. But things are always changing with Frenchie. He's going left, right, and centre on who he's nominating, so we just don't know for sure. But there was sort of talks of, he felt like there was there could be a potential showman's forming between Christian and Alyssa, and he wants to he said he was going to be the showman's killer, Frenchie. So we'll see what he does there, and he might put up Alyssa. I doubt Alyssa's going to be the target. I think it's going to be Derek X. We'll talk about this shortly, but as of now, we know that Christian is now immune, and he is given immunity as well to Xavier. As you guys may have saw in the thumbnail, Brent did express his disinterest and disheartenment at the fact that Christian had won the wildcard competition. He said he was rooting for Hannah or even Kylan to win it. So he was telling this to Frenchie, and obviously that's going to get him brownie points with Frenchie, because Frenchie was probably going to put Christian up on the block before he won the immunity. So I think Brent and Frenchie, they've gone from bang going at each other to they're getting along very well. So, that's a dynamic that's shifted very, very quickly. So at one point, Derek X had discussed Whitney's name. I think this was on day one, and people obviously can use that to their advantage and sort of twist it slightly. So Derek X seems to be the target now. So Frenchie is looking to find 2 pawns to put up to make Derek X feel safe and make a backdoor on week 1. Fantastic for a Big Brother viewer. For the player, terrible game move. You don't need to do a backdoor on week 1. There's no need. It's not a power play. There's just there's a power play in the fact of getting out a house guest that you feel is threatening your game or can do damage in the long run. But just doing a backdoor for the sake of doing a backdoor is kind of just saying, look at me, I'm doing a flashy move on week 1. You've got 85 days in that damn house, or at least we think it was last year. But I think you've got 85 days in this damn house, and you can't just be going, okay, let's plan a back door on day 2. Slow it down, hit the brakes, or you're going to be going out the door very, very soon. Brent and Derek F were discussing the nominations, and they believe it's going to be Travis and Derek X. Now, we did briefly discuss yesterday that already Travis and Derek X have been pinned as a duo just from them talking together quite a lot. So I would say that is a likely pairing. I would say it's the most likely set of nominations we're probably going to get is Travis and Derek X if Frenchie can't find the pawns. I mean, it's potential it might be Travis and Alyssa, take one of them down with the veto, put Derek X up and backdoor him. But as looking at the pattern of what's happening this week, where it's like, this is the target, we're changing the target, oh no, this ain't the target, there's a slaughterhouse alliance of the entire damn house. Who knows what is going to go smoothly and who knows what is going to work? So there's no telling what's going to happen this week. But I would say Travis is probably a lock as one of the it really is too hard. Listen, Derek X is probably going to be the target, and I would say Travis or Alyssa could potentially be on there as pawns. Which way it'll go, who knows? Now, whilst it seems Brent has got into Frenchie's ear and got on his good side, Claire and Tiffany were discussing the fact that they think that Frenchie still might nominate Brent and Travis as the pawns for eviction. Now, of course, that could work fantastically because, let's be honest, if it's a physical comp, Travis and Brent are probably the ones who are going to win the competition. But having said that, it can also come and bite Frenchie in the ass. But everything Frenchie's doing this week is going to come bite him in the ass because he's playing way too hard. They could come off the block and they could have a bit of a grudge, and they will win the veto, come down, win head of household next week. Frenchie, I've chosen you as my first nomination. It goes just like that. It's Big Brother. Expect the unexpected. Why would Brent or Travis nominate Tiffany? Why would they nominate Derek F? Why would they nominate Alyssa? Why would they nominate Claire? They're not going to do that. They're going to nominate Frenchie because he put them on the block, whether it was a pawn or not. They've done more damage. Frenchie's done more damage to their game than somebody else has who's done nothing at all. So Frenchie needs to be extremely careful in the decisions he's making. Once again, Frenchie is working hard on forming lots and lots of different alliances. This time he brings in Brent, Claire, Hannah, Sarah, Tiffany and Whitney. I'm sure that is just, probably Alliance 56 of 240,564 that are going to be made. There's going to be plenty more where that comes from because Frenchie is playing very, very hard. I have said it once and I'll say it again. Take a step back, hit the brakes, Frenchie, because you're going to go into overdrive. It's reminded me, like I said, so much, and I've seen a bunch of people online sort of saying this as well. It reminds them of Devon from BB16. It's like you've won the head of household competition, and then all of a sudden the power goes to your head, and you become the dictator of the game. It doesn't work like that. Very similar to Memphis in week 2 last year, although he did continue to make it further only because he had so much backing from his alliance, where it was kind of just like they all had to stick together. Frenchie doesn't necessarily have that. He has formed all these bonds, and because there's so many bonds that have been formed, the weaker. If you can focus on maybe 3 or 4 people and solidify that, that's solid for you. Whereas if you're focusing on 15 people, the bonds are going to be a lot weaker and they're not really going to work in your favour. So like I said, slow it down, hit the brakes, Frenchie. Surprise, surprise, Frenchie has brought more people into the head of household room to discuss who he feels are his ride or dies and who he wants to bring to the end. This time round, it's Christian, it's Derek F, it's Kyland and Xavier. He's saying, I really feel good about you guys and, we should add more to the slaughterhouse. And literally everybody's in the slaughterhouse at this point, but nobody knows it. But it's going to come bite him in the ass, for sure. It's day 3, guys. It's going to come crumbling down. But, I mean, it's kind of... It's painful to watch in a way. It's like it's a car crash. It's a car crash, but you know what? It's gonna make for good entertainment for us guys. But anyway, he's sort of talking to them, saying that he wants to put Travis up as one of the pawns, and he wants to put a girl up as another pawn. Surprise, surprise! The nominations are already shifting again, and he said he's hoping he can get Sarah to volunteer. I don't know how many people he wants to annoy this week, because it's like if you're gonna say you're gonna nominate this person as a pawn, then word's going to get out, right? So Travis probably is already thinking, okay, solid, and he realizes that, that's one person you've kind of annoyed, so stick with that, right? And then, when Brent's hearing it, and then, maybe Xavier heard a little bit when he wasn't immune, and then Alyssa hears it, and then Sarah hears it, you're just annoying more and more people at the thought that you could have been put up on the block. So not great gameplay on Frenchie's part. I'd probably just keep his cards closer to his chest, because it's like I said, it's going to come bite him in the ass, and you can probably piss off less people if you just don't necessarily tell them what exactly you're doing, or don't be so loose with your plans. Lo and behold, Tiffany and Whitney have started to discuss the fact that Frenchie is going left, right and centre, scrambling and trying, keep all these people in the loop, and, the saying his behaviour is becoming quite worrying. What did I say, guys? It was going to be sooner rather than later. Sarah and Claire then went on to talk about Frenchie, because Frenchie had gone out to the girls and said, look, I need somebody to volunteer as a pawn. And, Sarah had said to Claire, look, somebody who, wants you to go up as a pawn is never really serious about working with you. And she brings up a fantastic point. There's all these times in Big Brother history where, all these people are going, oh, yes, I'll volunteer as a pawn to show loyalty to this person. That person really does not have your best interest in mind, because if they did, they wouldn't be putting you up as a pawn. They'd be putting somebody else up as a pawn. You're kind of last case resort to them of, if I had to work with you, I would, but right now I've got better people to work with. So Sarah brings up a fantastic point there. And Claire agreed, it's all these cogs are starting to turn now, and things are starting to turn against Frenchie because he's been working in overdrive. That is all of your live feed updates for today, folks. I thoroughly hope you all enjoyed watching. It's crazy, crazy times in the house right now, and it's only day 3, and I love it so, so much. Watching Frenchie's head of household sort of just crumbling very, very slowly is frustrating but entertaining to watch, and that's what we get with Big Brother. It's a mix of all emotions, and it's beautiful, and that's why we love Big Brother. So yeah, guys, but let me know your thoughts on Frenchie's car crash head of household in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what you guys are thinking. Just any of your thoughts on the season so far, just drop them in the comment section below. But guys, thank you so, so much for watching. In the meantime, don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. Do all of that stuff. But until your next live feed update, I've been your host, Tom Vasey. Good night.